Hey, it's day two of our dinner time study series, okay? And I'm so excited to have you, and we're gonna move forward. We're gonna talk about fun things. Fasten your seatbelt as we proceed. Okay, so to start with, we shall be looking at Azure architectural components, okay? So, and here you have it. Okay, we're going to talk about region pair, availability zones, Azure resource group, resource group, resource manager, subscription, and management groups. Okay, so to start with, what is an Azure region? Okay, so an Azure region is made up of one or two data center in close proximity. So you got to understand this. What is a data center? A data center is just a place where the computers, the devices that belongs to the cloud provider you're using, a place where they are housed. Okay, so you probably see racks, servers, and all that there. So when they say a region is made up of one or two data center very nearby, it's yeah, that's what they're just trying to talk about. So they provide flexibility and scale to help you reduce customer latency. Why would you have them close by? uh, just because you want to reduce latency. Okay, so let me give you a typical scenario. If you're trying to get access to your bank app, which I made mention of yesterday, okay, assuming it's taking longer than necessary, instead of letting you wait forever, what the cloud provider will just do for you, it will go to the nearest data center and pull it out. So your data usually will be replicated in more than one place, okay, so that in case there is any problem, the data can be retrieved from another place. Okay, so it helps to provide preserve data residency with a comprehensive compliance offering. So let's move ahead and look at other fun concepts in the study. Whoa, what do we have on the screen? Regions. Okay, so although when you look at the screen, you think that they're not enough. But to be honest with you, what did we say a region is? A region is In a region, you have one or more data center in close proximity. So each dot you see there, you're having like a cluster of data center. But let me tell you the honest truth. Azure has more region than any other cloud provider in the whole world. So there you have it. So let's move ahead. Okay, what is a region pair? So a region pair, I did my little calculation. Okay, I said it has at least, you have about 300 miles of separation between region pairs. Okay, so I did my little calculation. Okay, it will take you, if you're traveling at 70 kilometers per hour, okay, it will take you about 5 hours of travel between each of the region. So when I calculated this, it will take you that speed if you're traveling from Lagos to Benin, okay, and also from Benin to Port Harcourt, or Benin to Abuja. So it means that between in Lagos there is one, in Benin there is one, in Port Harcourt there is another one. So what does this help you do? It helps for automatic replication of services. Okay, it helps to provide region recovery in case there's an outage. Okay, let's give, for example, god forbid that this happens. Okay, so let's assume that maybe something happens, a terrorist goes to blow a data center in Lagos, for example. You still have everything that you need in the one in Benin. If the one in Benin gets blown up, or there's a natural disaster, the one in Port Harcourt, still serves, or the one in Abuja still serves. So it helps, updates are rolled out sequentially in these regions, okay, in these region pairs, to minimize downtime for customers. So let's move ahead and see what other fun concepts that we're gonna see. Okay, so as you can see from the screen, this is how it is. Okay, region pair. So you have, like, for example, if you have I'm going to look at the first one on the left, not central US. Let's say that's Lagos. Then south central US. Let's say that's Benin. Okay, then maybe another one, east US. Maybe that's Port Harcourt, and west US, let's say that's Abuja. So in case the one on this side fails, the one on this side is still having all your data intact, okay, to serve your customers. So I hope that it's clear. So let's move ahead. Okay, so as you can see from the screen, okay, you have in these regions, okay, you have an SLA. Your virtual machine has an SLA, so service level agreement. So your service level agreement is an uptime commitment, an uptime guarantee that Microsoft is giving you as a customer in case there is an outage, or in case there is any problem, or in case in case there's an outage, they're guaranteeing you 99.99 that your data will still be available. So if it's a single VM, if it's a single VM, you know that it's for lift and shift. But if it's like 3 different pairs, as you can see, there's one on this side, there's one on this side, and there's one on this side. So it's a very interesting concept. So let's move ahead. What is an availability zone? So availability zone provides protection against downtime due to a data center failure. So all the ideas are still all connected, okay? They are physically separated data center within a region. So remember when we said a region, when we talked about region the other time, we said there are one or more data center in close proximity. So now we've narrowed it down a little bit. Okay, they're telling you that, okay, so in a region, you have what they call availability zone. You have physically separated data centers, but they're within the same region. So each data center is equipped with independent cooling power networking. If you remember very well, in Module 1, I told you that the data center must always have internet. Okay, so networking has to be there. Okay, and because they are computers, okay, their servers running, it has to have power. They have to have power. There needs to be electricity, okay, and because they will generate heat, there needs to be cooling. So each of those data centers have their own independent power cooling networking. So what one is having, each one is, they're totally independent. That's what it means. Remember, they're totally independent and they're connected through private. You connect them together in case you want, this is having problem. They are connected using a fiber optic network. So let's move ahead and see what's in the other pages for us. As you can see, this is just the picture that I was trying to describe for you. Okay, so you have a data center availability zone 1. Availability zone 2 is a data center as well, and availability zone 3 is also a data center. Okay, so they are fully independent, they're doing their own stuff, but in case one goes off, the other one is there to pick up, and they're all connected through private fiber network. So let's push ahead and see what's okay. So next we're going to be talking about Azure Resource. What's an Azure Resource? Anything that you can use to build a solution in Azure is a resource. Okay, so whatever it is that you're searching for, so long as it can solve a problem, so long as you can use it to solve what you're doing to accomplish your goal, is a resource. So you have virtual machines, a storage account, a virtual network, app service. There are so many. Okay, so in a very few minutes from now, we're going to be exploring the Azure portal, and you're going to understand what an Azure resource is all about. Okay, so what is a resource group? A resource group is a container that manages and aggregates resources in a single unit. I do not want you to memorize this. I want to explain it the way I understand. Okay, so now I'm sure that you all have kitchen, you all have bathrooms. Okay, yes, you have living room. Okay, you have garage, you have a store. Okay, so now I want to bring to your attention. I want to focus on the toilet and the kitchen. Okay, so you do not go to the market to buy fresh meat and keep it in the toilet. So kitchen things stay in the kitchen. Okay, so you bring your eggs. Okay, you put them. Eggs will stay in the kitchen. Okay, you put them in the fridge, and the fridge is in the kitchen. My fridge is in the kitchen. Okay, so you buy a microwave oven. My microwave oven is in my kitchen. Okay, so I mean, it's logical to put it there because all food items, all food related stuff will stay in the kitchen. So the same way you put food related items in the kitchen, that same way you would put toilet related items in the toilet. Okay, that same way you put living room related items in the living room. Okay, so that's how a resource group in Azure is as well. Okay, so resources can exist in only one resource group. Yes, because kitchen items can only stay in kitchen. Okay, toilet items can only stay in the toilet. I'm not going to buy a brand new TV and go put it in the toilet. No, it's meant for my living room. I'll keep it in my living room. Okay, so resources can move to different oh, sorry, the weather, I think the rain is about to fall. Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, what is a resource manager? So a resource manager provides a management layer for you to be able to, okay, it provides a management layer, okay, for you to be able to create, update, and delete resources in your subscription. Okay, so you want to do anything in your resource in your subscription, you want to interact with anything in your subscription, what is going to give you that ability is your resource Azure Resource Manager. So let's move ahead. Okay, so this one, Azure Subscription, and Azure Subscription provides you with authenticated and authorized access to your Azure account. What does this mean? Okay, now I'm very sure that you probably if you're not a young person that just left school yesterday, I'm sure that you've changed accommodation 1 or 2 times, or even 3 or more times. So if you're moving from a place to another place, remember that the first thing you're going to do is to pay your rent. Okay, so when you pay the rent, you're going to get a key. Okay, so you're going to get a key, and you got authorized access to that apartment, or to the facility, the compound, the premises. So that's how a subscription is. So a subscription will provide you with that same access, okay, authorization that a rent will give to you in an apartment. That's what an Azure subscription is going to give to you. Okay, so for Azure subscription, we have what we call billing boundary. A billing boundary will help you to generate your bills, report, and invoices. So in a place where you have so many users, okay, and multiple subscription, and access control boundary will help you to manage the resources that users can provision within specific subscriptions. So in the next upcoming slide, we're going to see what this means. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So you have 3 different subscriptions in this particular account, and access boundary would help you to assign what a user can do within each of those subscription. Okay, so let's move ahead. So at this very point, let's explore the Azure portal and see what is there for us. So I'm just going to move to my browser and check the Azure portal. So my browser, where is my browser? Okay, so I'm going to click on portal.azure.com. Sorry, the internet is slow because the weather, the rain is about to fall. So, but the series must go on. We cannot stop. Oh, it has even affected my internet. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue with a lecture. So we're talking about resources in Azure. So if you want to check for anything in Azure, all you just need to do is to type the name of what you're searching for in the search bar. So assuming I want to search for a virtual machine, I'll just type virtual machine in the search bar. Okay, virtual machine. So you can see that the thing that you're searching for, if you type the name correctly, the first suggestion that comes that is in gray, okay, so the color is in gray, is usually the right one. So look at it, it's gray. Remember, I searched for a virtual machine. Or you can come to the left hand side, the hamburger icon, you can just look at it. You can see there are so many resources there. So assuming it's a virtual machine we're still searching for, look at it, it's here. Suggestion, okay, it's here and with a pop-up on the right hand side. So that's how you search for resources in Azure. So there are so many things in Azure. Let's click on create a resource, for example. So the options are so many. Okay, so you can see that you have all machine learning resource to help you create a machine learning solution. You have those for analytics, you have those for compute, you have containers, you have databases, you have for DevOps, you have for integration. So let's click on media, for example. For now, you see the ones for media have just popped up. Okay, so the ones for blockchain, the ones for databases. So this is how you search for an item in Azure portal. Okay, you put the name in the search bar, or you on the right hand side you scroll through, or you click on create a resource. So I hope that you understand how to search for an item in Azure portal. So I'm just going to continue with the slides so that we can move faster. So this is what we just went through. We clicked on Azure portal, which I searched. Okay, I looked at on all services on the right hand side, and I showed you all the offerings that we can get. Okay, so let's move ahead. So what is a management group? So a management group, as you can see, can include multiple subscription. Okay, it inherits. Okay, let's talk about the properties. Okay, it inherits all the conditions applied at the top. Okay, you can have up to 10,000 management groups supported in a single directory. That's a lot, and the levels can be up to 6. So I think that I've seen this question before. I took my AZ900 exam about, if I'm right, about 4 years ago, and I was asked how many directories can a management group support. Okay, so as you can see from the screen on this side, there's a subscription on this side, and there's a subscription on this side. So it supports multiple subscription, and the key shows that is an account. So there's an account with multiple subscription. This subscription has 2 resource groups. Okay, this has 1, so it can, but take note that the subscription inherits condition applied at the management group. So if you apply one condition at the management group, it affects everything down. So that's that about management group. So let's move ahead. So at this point, let's talk about core Azure workload. So in core Azure workload, we'll look at Azure virtual machines, Azure app services, network, databases, and Azure marketplace. So at this point, what is an Azure Compute? Okay, so an Azure Compute is an on-demand computing service that provides computing resources such as disks, processors, memory, networking, and operating system. Okay, so in this category, you have virtual machine, you have app service, you have container instance, you have Kubernetes service, and Azure virtual desktop. Okay, so what is a virtual machine, guys? What is a virtual machine? Now, I usually get asked this question a lot of times. So to be honest with you, is a physical emulation of your computer. So everything that your real computer, the computer that you're using to attend this program, has a virtual machine will have it. Okay, it will have a virtual memory, it will have storage, it will have networking, it will have everything. And the funniest thing is I can even attach a disk to it. Okay, I can go to Azure portal, I can attach a disk the same way you want to manipulate the memory of your computer. I can attach a disk to it, I can format a disk, so it's very interesting. Okay, so and you are able to do all that configuration because they are infrastructure as a service. Remember, for infrastructure as a service, you can customize. Okay, remember I used a car as a scenario. Okay, so you can customize, and it provides you with total control. Okay, so let's move ahead. So at this point, let's take a look at the Azure portal again. We're going to create a virtual machine, and we're going to connect to it and install a web server, and we're going to test the web server and see how everything will go. So we are back to Azure portal, and we've been asked to create a virtual machine. So I'm just going to click on create a resource. Oh no, I'm going to do it the easiest way. I'm just going to search for virtual machine, virtual machine. So I want you to get used to it. So this is virtual machine. Now I'm supposed to search here at the top, virtual machine. Okay, you see it's been grayed out. Okay, so we are creating a Windows virtual machine. So I'm going to click create virtual machine. Sorry guys for the noise that is coming from outside. It's raining heavily, and we cannot afford to postpone this lecture, so everything has to go on. Okay, I'm gonna choose a resource group. I can choose anyone. Maybe I just take this one. I'm gonna give it a name, Dina VM. Okay, I'm gonna call it Dina VM. I'm gonna leave every other thing as default, but look at here. We've been asked to we are creating a Windows server, so we change. Okay, so we need to change the, okay, so all we need now is the administrative username and password. Guys, remember, you must choose a username and password that you can easily remember, because we're going to connect to this virtual machine using RDP. Okay, so at the point of connection, you're going to be asked for the username and password. So Microsoft excuse me, Microsoft always like using Azure user, and the password as password 123 star. Okay, so I'm gonna use that password 123 star, so I know that I will never forget that one. Okay, so okay, so this is wrong. You're not supposed to expose it to the internet. Okay, so it's not a good practice to click 80, but I'm just going to click 80. No, it's not a good practice. Yeah, I'm going to click 80 because I need to test it later on. I need to test the virtual machine, so I need to click 80. If not, RDP would have just been enough. So let's review and create. Every other thing should be okay. Okay, let's check every other thing. So next, I'm not attaching disk, so I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, I'm not doing anything with disk for now. Okay, I'm going to leave it as that. Management, no. Monitoring, I want to disable diagnostics. So I think I'm ready to create the virtual machine. So if you're hearing a lot of noise in the background, I'm so sorry for it. The rain, the weather is bad, the rain is about to fall. I cannot afford to postpone the lecture till tomorrow, because tomorrow we have another one. So the lecture must go on. So I'm so sorry for if the noise is an issue. So we're just going to wait a while for the deployment to complete. So as we can see that the deployment is complete, so I'm just going to go to resource. Seems not to be responding. So the instruction says we should install a web server, so I'm just going to click on install. Install web server feature. Okay, so the name is web server. So the include management tools is optional, but I just included it. So let's see what happens. So let's wait for it. So it's currently installing. I apologize for the noise because it even took me off guard, but it's raining and I don't want to postpone, like I said earlier, this lecture till tomorrow, because tomorrow we have module 3. So whatever it takes, we'll push ahead, but I hope that you're following through, you're understanding what we're doing. We deployed a virtual machine, we connected to it, and we are installing something on it, just as you would do with your normal computer. So PowerShell is installed on every Windows machine. You have PowerShell in every Windows machine, and you can do stuff with it. So we're doing the same thing with this one as well. So as we can see from the screen, it has successfully installed, and we can see that it has HTTP features. So remember that the purpose of all this, we're supposed to install it and test it to see if it's running. So we're going to go back to Azure Portal and copy our public IP address and put it on the browser and see if it's going to tell us that we've installed anything at all. So here is our overview page. I'm copying the public IP address, I'm putting it in the browser. Voila, you can see we have a web server installed. So we at this point we installed the web server. We deployed the web server. We RDP into it, and we created a virtual machine. Sorry, we RDP into it. We installed a web server on it, and we have tested it, and it's working. Okay, so let's continue with the rest of the lecture. So this was where we were before we left off. So we fulfilled the requirements for this walkthrough, and we're going to move ahead. So I'd like to tell you that with the cloud, things are actually very you can do things very fast. Okay, so there is a set of virtual machines, the Azure Dev Tests VMs. You can use them. They offer a very quick way for you to deploy a virtual machine to test and code an application, because it already have most of the things that you need pre-configured. All you just need to do is to put your username and a password and deploy and use it to do what you want to do. So okay, so because of the demand for your application can fluctuate, it might be it might make sense to run it on a virtual machine in Azure. Guys, you saw how easy it was for us to create a virtual machine in Azure. Okay, and I used RDP to connect to it. I used the PowerShell, okay, to do something with it, and I tested it. So you see that it might be cheaper for you to actually run your workload in the cloud. When you finish, you shut it down, okay? And when you shut down, deallocate that virtual machine, you will not be charged. So a virtual machine is in an Azure virtual network, can actually be connected to your organizational network, your organization's network, so that you see that your data center is extended. So let's move ahead in the lecture and see what other surprises that we have. Okay, well, let's talk about Azure Container. Azure Containers are lightweight virtualized environment. Okay, they do not need any operating system. They do not need you to manage anything, and they can respond very fast to changes on demand. Okay, so we're going to look closely at Azure Container Instances. Okay, Azure Container Instance is a platform as a service offering that runs a container in Azure without the need to manage a virtual machine or additional service. So not only that, there's still another one that we'll look at. Okay, Azure Kubernetes Service. Okay, so as you know, Kubernetes is an orchestration system, but for this one, it's specific to Azure. Okay, let's move on. We'll see. Okay, so at this point, let's take a walkthrough so that you see what an Azure Container Instance looks like. Okay, so in the upcoming lectures, we might do something on Kubernetes, but for now, we just want to do something with Azure Container Instance. So hold on, let's go back to Azure portal. So we're gonna search for container instance. Okay, container instance. Okay, this is container instance. So I have a few here created, but I'm gonna delete those ones after on. I'm going to delete them after the end of the lecture. Okay, so I'm just going to choose my resource group. I can choose anyone. I like this one. Okay, so I'm going to put Dina container. Okay, so the names must be globally unique. Container. Okay, Dina container. So for this, okay, so we can choose anyone, but I'll just use quick start image. Remember that the instruction we are creating a hello world container. Okay, so I'm just going to review. Okay, no, we're not just going to review and create, because for this one, we actually need to. We would actually need the name. Okay, we are making it public, but if you don't have a DNS name, you will not be able to access it. So let me just say the DNS name is Dina C. Okay, I'll leave every other thing as default. I'm just going to review and create. Okay, that's passed the validation. So we just wait for it. So as we can see from the screen, the container has finished. The deployment has completed, but something happened. The validation failed. I didn't show you that part. The validation failed because the name I chose was too close to the name of the container. So remember, it was Dina C. So I redeployed it using the quick start template. Using Dina, I added a breakfast container to it. So this is what we will check to know if the container is working or not. Although you see it's running, but we can just quickly put this in the browser. And no, we didn't copy the right thing. So we copy this, unless it has translated it to IP address, which no, what's here? No, this is what we want to copy. It's not okay. Copied now. Okay, so okay, good. So let's wait for it. It is currently running, but it should show some positive results. Although, like I told you earlier, the rain is falling and the weather is terrible here. So okay, to save time, so it's the weather. But I'm sure that, as you can see, it's running. So I'm sure that it's going to show some other time. So I don't want to waste too much time, so I'm going to proceed with other activity. But before we try the next lab, we're going to check it again and see if it will show that the container is running or not. So I'm just going to go back to the slide. Okay, so this was what we tried to do. We created a container instance. We deployed the container, and I'm currently trying to test it. Okay, so we'll check back later on. So let's move forward. Okay, so you'll agree with me that 2019 was very hard because we had this COVID-19 thing. A lot of people had to sit at home. So the Windows Virtual Desktop is a desktop app and virtualize is a desktop app and virtual, and it helps for virtualization that runs in the cloud. Okay, it creates a full a virtualization environment without having you to run additional gateway servers. Okay, so you saw how easy it was for us to deploy a virtual machine. This would even do a much more better work. Okay, it can publish up to unlimited host pools to accommodate a lot of workload. So at that time when we had COVID-19, this, God forbid, if there is any other thing like that happens and we need to work from home, this would be a very, very useful tool because it is cheap. It reduces cost with pooled multi-session resources, and as you can see, it publishes unlimited host pools to accommodate any kind of workload. So let's move ahead and see what other things that we have in store. So at this level, you're not required to know too much about networking, but the basic concepts that you have to know are Azure VNet. What is an Azure VNet? It enables you to communicate. It enables Azure Resources to communicate between each other. So assuming that you have resources in the cloud and you have resources in your private data center, you want them to communicate together. Okay, Azure VNet will be your best bet. So if you want your data traveling to not be exposed to public internet, you want it to be encrypted in some ways. Okay, as additional layer of protection for you, you would actually be needing a virtual private network. Okay, Azure VPN. Okay, then ExpressRoute extends your on-premise network into Azure over a private connection. So you need to talk to a connectivity provider, and so that to extend the whatever you have on your premise, you want to extend it to the cloud, you need Azure ExpressRoute to help you do that. It's actually a physical device. To use it, you actually need to contact Azure. Azure will ship it to you, and yeah. So let's proceed. Okay, another very, very interesting part of this lecture is Azure storage. Okay, so you would agree with me that there are a lot of things around. You need to store stuff as a company. Okay, so Azure Blob Storage is optimized for storing large amount of unstructured data, such as text or binary data. Okay, so you have disk storage. Disk storage provides disks for virtual machine, application, and other services to use. Okay, so whenever you deploy when you deploy a virtual machine, okay, it will deploy for you an operating system disk. Okay, you actually don't have a place to store the things that you'll be doing, the things that you'll be using. You don't have a place to store them, so you actually need a disk storage. So Azure storage services would actually can provide a disk storage for your virtual machine, so that you can store your data inside it. So we also have Azure Files. It's a setup, a highly available network files, okay, that can be available using SMB protocol. So SMB is standard message block. So I think that I need to drink water, but we're going to look at this using the Azure portal, and I hope that when we check the Azure portal, you're going to understand it better. So know that, okay, you have, okay, we're going to check Azure portal, you see. Okay, so the very three most important tiers that you have for storage, you have hot, cool, and archive. So something that you use every day, okay, something you need every day, something you need to use every day, you definitely want to store it in hot storage. Okay, so something that you would not need for at least once in a month, you will store it in cool storage, and something that you will not need for a long time, say the minimum of number of days that you need it is 180 days, or maybe something that you don't need at all for over a year or 2 years, you put it in archive storage. So I'd like you to know that, okay, things like audit documents, okay, you finish the budget for this year, you're waiting for next year to come, they are typical candidates for your archive storage. So let's move ahead and see. Okay, so at this point, let's look at the Azure portal and see how we can create a blob storage. So I'm just going to click on Azure portal again. So click here, you search for storage account. Okay, so I told you, when you search the name, the first one that is grayed out is usually the correct one. So Azure storage. So I have so many, I'm mostly going to delete most of them, but just click create. So let's give it a name. Let's call it storage. Let's call it, okay, let's use any of the resource group. Remember what I said the resource group is. So let's say dinner storage. Okay, dinner storage. Okay, so you have the performance. Okay, premium. A standard is for most users scenario. Okay, so if you want premium, it has better performance. Okay, and scenarios that require low latency. Remember the scenario I was telling you about? If you are searching your phone, you are trying to check for your accounts from in your phone, you don't want it to last for up to 10 minutes. So if you want the lowest type of latency, you would choose this. So you can actually choose redundancy for this. So you see local redundant storage, the lowest cost option with servers and racks. So I'd like you to try this out on your own. You see the definitions for each different type of the storage that you have. But so for default, we chose geo redundant storage, and we're just gonna go with the defaults, and we're gonna create. We're gonna review. So the review is gonna come out. We're waiting for the review to finish. So it's taking quite some time. Okay, yeah, it's finished. So it's initializing. Okay, so while we wait for the deployment to complete, remember I was telling you the other time that, okay, I'm going to show you, we created a container instance, and I'm going to come back later on to see what is happening, because it was taking too long, because I told you the rain was falling and my network was, so it has finished. This is to show you that that deployment succeeded. This is how it looks like. So we are waiting for our storage account to finish. So okay, it has finished deploying. So let's take a look at what it deployed for us. Okay, so no, at this point, let's create a container. Let's create something so that we can upload I'm going to upload something from my local computer to the cloud. Okay, so from uploading something to my computer, I'll choose read access for blob. Let's call this dinner. Okay, any name will do, just a random name. So create. So we've just created a container now. So I'm going to upload something to the container that I'm creating. Okay, so I'm going to upload something to the container that I just created. So I called it dinner. Okay, remember I called it dinner. So let's go to my local. Let's go to my local computer. Okay, so let's upload this since it's related to what we're doing. So you see that it's been uploaded. Okay, so it's been uploaded. Uploading has finally finished. Now it's gonna show here. So you see, remember we talked about access tier, we talked about hot, we talked about cool, and we talked about archive. Okay, so this is the picture that we just uploaded from my computer. So I'm gonna click on it. When you click on it, it's hot in fed. In fed means it's something that is the one that you're currently using. Okay, it's the default tier. So you see that for everything that you upload, it gives you a link. So you can actually store items in your storage account. You can create a storage account, store items there, and if you want to share with someone, and so there are so many things that you can do. You can change the access tier. See, you can change to cool, hot. So assuming I don't want to look at it for the next 180 days, I'm just going to choose archive. Okay, so setting your archive will make it inaccessible until it's rehydrated to hot. So you see how this how cool Azure storage is, okay, for storing items. So guys, you can store anything here. Okay, you can store videos, you can store files, so many things, so long as they are unstructured. Okay, so I have something very interesting that I stored in my storage account. I stored my resume. Okay, so I uploaded it just to make this a little bit more interesting for you guys. So let's see, it's static, so you can choose to upload your resume. I think if you belong to Azure community, you might have participated in this, but you see, okay, so let's wait and get the link. It's loading. I want to show you. Okay, it's taking forever to open. The network is not being helpful here. Okay, connection error. Why would that be? Okay, so the network is bad. So sorry guys, earlier on the network went off, but I'm back now. So I wanted to show you something I uploaded in my storage account. So let's see. Okay, so you can do something as cool as this too. I uploaded my resume as a static website to to Azure Cloud Storage. So it has different sections, and it's quite interesting. So let's move ahead. Let's continue with our lecture. So I'm just going to go back to the PowerPoint slide. So this was where we stopped. So make sure that anything that you create, you delete after you are done with the class. Okay. So because it's expensive to stay in the cloud, and for every minute you stay, you get charged. You get charged for using the cloud resources, because the cloud provider is not getting it free. Okay, he has to pay. The cloud provider has to pay for electricity. They have to pay for internet, and they have to pay for cooling. So that's why the more time you spend, you get charged, because they have to pay as well. So let's talk about databases. Okay, so in Azure, you have a lot of options for your databases. Okay, so you have relational database, a non-relational database. So as we all know, Azure Cosmos DB is a non-relational database. So it's a globally scaled. Azure Cosmos DB is a globally scaled database service that is elastic and it's independently scales throughput and storage. Okay, so it has, if you are a businessman, you work from Africa, you want to extend your business to the US, Australia, Azure Cosmos DB has all it takes for you to, handle all that kind of, scaling and yeah. So next we have Azure SQL database. So it's a relational database as a service that has everything that you need to with regards to Microsoft SQL Server Engine. So we also have the open source one. We have database, Azure database for MySQL. It's a fully managed MySQL database service for app developers. They also have for Postgres SQL. Okay, so I believe that this is the last item for today. We have the Azure Marketplace. So for Azure Marketplace, anything that you're searching for that is not typically available, when you go to the Azure Marketplace, you can search for it. Okay, we have over 10,000 plus listing in the Azure Marketplace. Okay, so before we finish for today, I'd like you to answer a few questions. Okay, you can put them in the chat window to make it even more interesting. When can you delete a resource from Azure? When can you delete a resource group from Azure? Okay, and also, what is an Azure region? I talked about Azure region at the beginning of the lecture. What is an Azure region? Okay, now, if you can tell me what an Azure region is, what is an availability zone? So, thank you for staying this far with me. See you tomorrow during dinner time for the next lesson. Bye-bye.